Hi, Twin. Okay, so I'm back with the work lecture. A little birdie told me that Twin might not be understanding and there might be questions. I won't name names, but someone might be a little confused. So I'm gonna redo the problem, try to help you understand, Twin. Okay. So the question is: find the amount of work required to pull a dangling chain of length 5 meters and a mass density of 4 kilograms per meter up over the side of a tall building of height at least 5 meters. Okay. So reading this, we can tell that this is like useless information, right? We can just ignore that. It's just telling us that the building is taller than the rope, or the chain. So the chain is not touching the ground. Okay, so that's just what it's saying. So basically, all we need to important information is a dangling chain, right? So it's a length of 5 meters and a mass density of 4 kilograms per meter. And the units we check up, they're both the same, so we don't have to worry about that. Perfect. Okay, so now we can draw it out. Get our little guy back in here. Ooh, we got a 5 hat today. Okay, so this is him, and he's holding the chain, right? Okay, so based on the question, we know, well, we can write let y equals distance from top, right? Okay, so y can be like whatever you want. It could be h, it could be x. I just say y because it's dealing with vertical stuff. So that's just the variable I use. So let y equals distance from top. So if this is the top, that means right here at this point, y is going to equal 0, right? And then the bottom of the chain, since you know the length is 5 meters, y will equal 5. Okay. So let's see. So now when we try to work out the problem, we write like the general question. So the work of a slice, slice is going to equal force times distance, right? So we're looking at a little slice at one point of the chain, right? So I'm going to try to explain this better. Alright, so when we're thinking about the y, right, let's just say we're going to pick this random pixel right here. Well, we can, I hope this kind of like helps you think, but like the x, y, z coordinate, right? As you can see, like right here, the y coordinate is negative 49.4, right? We're looking at the y, but if we move up, see all your numbers stay the same except for the y. Okay, so if we're looking at this pixel right here, now y is equal to negative 44.9, right? So that we could say that like at any point of the slice, it's going to be at y, right? Because if we think about it like the xy coordinate, right, wherever it is, since it's moving in a vertical direction, where like this point right here is going to be y, and this point right here is going to be y, a different y. But since we're looking at the slices, and each slice is a different y, we just like use a general term, which is going to be y in this case. And I hope that helps. Now that we look back at our question, I hope that kind of explains that this, like any part of this is just y, right? You know, thinking back at the Minecraft, any point of this is like the the y coordinate, right? So we slide up and down the chain. So when we do these questions, right, we're trying to like solve it, right? But in this case, f and d, right? They don't tell us what f is, right? Because like unlike the first one where they give us the equation for f, right? Because it's spring, so spring is always going to be this equation, right? But for this equation, they don't give us what f is equal to, right? So we got to figure it out on our own, right? So when we look at this equation, we're thinking, okay, so what work is being done on the chain, right? So okay, so we're trying to figure out like what force is, right? So say we're pulling the chain, okay? If we're trying to pull up this chain, right? What's stopping me, or what's fighting against me when I pull it, okay? Weight, right? The weight of the chain, gravity. You know, I'm not struggling because I just skipped arm day, right? Every day, okay? It's not because I don't go to the gym. It's because there's an active force working against me, right? Right? Which is gravity, right? So this is like a better example over here. The pig, right? Why is the pig hanging? Like what's like keeping the pig like down and not like just letting him float away? Gravity, right? The reason why he's like able to just like hang right here is because gravity is pulling him down, right? So when we look at the thing, we can know, okay, so the force of gravity, what is that? That's mass times gravity. So what force is being pulled on the pig right now? Well, the mass of the pig, right? How heavy the guy is, times the gravitational constant, which is pulling him down, right? So that times that would equal like the force that's pulling him down. Okay, does that make sense? So we're looking over here, where we have to do, well, what's the mass of the chain, right? And then times gravity. So you know, and since we're looking at each slice, or like in this Minecraft case, each pixel, we got to figure out the mass of this pixel right here times, and it's always going to be times g, or times the gravitational constant. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So that means f, think about the pig, it's the mass of the pig times gravity, right? The gravitational constant, and then we bring down d. And then question was, why does d equal y? Well, I hope the explanation from before with the y coordinate is because the y of any point of the chain, of each slice of the chain, is at a different y. So the distance of, let's say, this slice right here going up is going to be different from this slice down here, right? And the distance traveling up is the y, right? Because it's going all the way up here, and then it's getting pulled up. Now, if you did like the opposite, like if you said let y be distance from the bottom, it would be y would be like 5 minus y, right? Because you're going from, instead of this, you're doing this, right? That might confuse me more. Just it depends like where you put your y, right? Like where you put the 0, I guess. But I hope that makes sense. Like distance equals y because this slice right here is getting pulled up this amount, right? And the slice down here is getting pulled up this amount, right? And since we're calling y equals distance from top, d would equal to y. Hope that makes sense, twin. So we could rewrite this right here. Well, I guess we could just erase this and put y right here. Okay. Now, now we're trying to break it down anymore. So we're saying, can we solve it? Like, if the equation is just like this, can we solve it? And the answer is no, right? Because they don't give us the mass, right? They give us mass density, but they don't give us the mass, right? So we have to break down mass even more. And as you should know now, twin, mass for this kind of slice is going to equal to the density, which is rho, times the length, right, of any object, right? So in this case, length, well, they don't give us length, right? So we have to put terms of length in terms that we have, right? Because they don't give us that. So the length of any pixel, so I'll draw it bigger, right? Okay, so for the delta y, right? So say we want to figure out the pixel like in line with this button, right there, right? We're gonna take this exact pixel right before the button starts, okay? We're gonna take whatever this y coordinate is right here, and then minus where the button ends, right? Right there, okay? We're gonna take this, and we're gonna call this y2. So y1 minus y2 is gonna equal this, the width of this button, right? And then what's y2 minus y1? Delta y, right? So that's why we call L delta y, because we don't have L, right? We have to put L in terms of what we have, which in this case is y. So the width of one slice is going to be delta y. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so to explain the delta y in a drawing, let me see if this helps. I'm going to make him bigger. So this is our little guy, skinny quarantine. Okay, so long ass arm. Okay, so we're going to put the chain in black. His hand's going to like be holding it right at the edge. Okay, so he's just got a funky little arm. Okay, so this is the chain, right? Say we're gonna be looking at this exact slice right here, okay? Our y1 is gonna begin right before it, right? And it's gonna be all this. This is gonna be y1, okay? And then y2 is gonna start right after the slice, okay? And it's gonna be y2, okay? So then write it out: y1 minus y2. Well, we know that this is gonna also equal to delta y, right? The change of y. So now we can rewrite the length of this slice right here as is also equal to that, right? So then that's how we know, instead of this right here, it's we can rewrite that the mass is going to equal the density, which is rho, times the length, which we just explained would be delta y, right? Because it's a difference between two y's, okay? And then don't forget the g times y, which is the distance, okay? And then you have rho g y times delta y. And then you said the math was fine, so I'm not going to do that. And yeah, g is a constant, so you have to keep it there, okay? Because your final answer is not just like 50, because 50 wouldn't make sense, right? Because this is a number. In physics, it's 9.8. And then sometimes it's like depending, it will change. Sometimes I think calc said that sometimes they just say 1, that g equals 1 just for like simplicity, but g is a number, so you have to multiply. You have to keep g there. It's not just like a thing. This doesn't mean grams, okay, dog? I mean, sorry, twin. Wrong name. Okay. I'm gonna, the second question, it's like the same thing, right? Just like bottom and the top. So hope that makes sense. Hope the Minecraft worked. If not, then you might be a lost cause, twin. JK, I did not mean that, twin. Just good luck, twin.